Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Laura. I'm just coming on here to make a video. I wanted to share two dreams that I had on Friday, November 8th of 2024. On Thursday, the night before, as I was laying down ending my day, I invited the Holy Spirit to speak to me, whatever He wanted to speak to me. And I don't always do that. I sometimes do that, and a lot of times He gives me dreams. And so I didn't ask Him for anything specific. I just said if there was anything He wanted to tell me, then He is more than welcome to do so. And so I fell asleep and I went to sleep. And at some point, when I fell asleep, I I I heard a really loud rumble, the kind of rumble that you would hear seconds before an earthquake hits. And it was so loud, I felt it and I heard it, that it woke me up, and my heart was beating so fast. And within seconds, I knew the rumble that I felt was in the spirit. So much so that I even said, Holy Spirit, I believe this is you. I believe you're saying something to me. And so I went right back to sleep. And then I had a dream, and I had a dream that I moved into a new apartment, and I was in my living room trying to arrange my furniture, but there were some pieces in there that were making it kind of difficult to arrange my furniture. And there was an extra fireplace. So they had a built-in fireplace, but then there was an extra fireplace, the kind that you could move wherever you wanted to, the kind that you would buy like from a Home Depot. And then there was like an extra cabinet, like some cabinet shelving also that was there. And then I'm trying to arrange everything, and then I hear that rumble, and then I feel the earthquake. And it was a really strong earthquake that it terrified me. And so after that ended, I continued on to try to figure out my living room. And then I remember my husband then comes out of the room with the big TV, the kind of TVs we had back in the, let's just say the 90s, the box TVs. And I remember it was a pretty good size one. And then on top of it, it had like electronics, like maybe a DVD player or a CD player or something like that. And then I remember I thought, okay, great. Now, how am I supposed to fit all this together? I was getting a little bit more frustrated because I couldn't make everything, fit and work well. And so at some point, I remember I look over my balcony, and I was trying to figure out what floor I lived in, and I estimate I lived on the third or fourth floor. So then I go back again to finishing trying to arrange my living room, and then I hear a really loud noise outside. So then once again I look out my balcony. I look over my balcony door, sliding door, and I remember I saw a dump truck. And I remember I thought, wow, that's a really big dump truck. It was not a normal sized dump truck. And I'm watching it as it's picking up the dumpster from the apartment complex, and it's about to empty it out when a wind comes and blows pretty much all the trash out of the dumpster. That it spread all over the apartment complex parking lot. And I remember I'm standing there thinking, oh my gosh, that is a lot of cleanup this guy has to do. So then I go back to trying to fix my living room arrangement or whatever, furniture. And so then I sit down. I think I'm feeling a little like frustrated. None of it's working. So I sit down, and then I hear all of a sudden really loud worship music that I get excited, and I think, oh my gosh, our neighbors are believers. So then I go out of my apartment, and the apartment had like a walkway, the kind of walkway where it's like connects you to the other apartments, or like, and also the staircase. And so I'm walking to my neighbor's apartment, and there's little kids, maybe 4, maybe 5 at the most, 3, 4, 5 kids at the most. They're little kids. They all had to have been under the age of 7, and they were black kids, but they looked impoverished. I remember they looked like they weren't well taken care of. They didn't look we'll just say they looked impoverished. And I remember I went up to one of them, and I introduced myself to him, and I remember I even shook his little hand, and I told my name, and he told me his name. I don't remember what name he said. And then so one of the other kids said, do you want to meet my mom? I don't know if he said my mom or my grandma. And I said, yeah, sure. And so he goes and he calls, this woman, and she comes out. And immediately when I saw her, just being in her presence, I knew that she was not a believer. She was just some old lady, black lady. She had gray hair. She even had a little hunch to her. And she comes up to me, and first thing she says to me is, would you like to see my paintings? And she said paintings of, it was something like celestial paintings of like either the moon, the stars, or something like that, to that effect. And I said, sure. And so she goes in her apartment, and she comes back out, and she has about 3 to maybe 4 paintings that she painted herself in her hand. And I remember they were bright rainbow colors. The paintings were really bright, and it was in rainbow colors. And when I'm looking at the paintings, I see Trump in the paintings. And I vaguely remember that Trump was with someone in one of the paintings. And then the worship song ends. I remember the worship song at some point ended, and then secular music started going on. And it's interesting because I had a knowing in my dream that they had, the playlist only had one worship song on, and all the other songs were secular. And so the dream ended, and I woke up. Well, at least that's all I can remember from the dream. And I woke up, and I felt really strongly like this dream was from the Lord. That I remember it was like 5:30, 5:40 in the morning, maybe 5:20 a.m. in the morning when I woke up, and I said, Holy Spirit, I believe this dream is from you. And I just said, if you're willing to give me interpretation, I would really appreciate it. Very simple. And so I was still very sleepy, so I went back to sleep. And the dream continues. I'm in the living room once again, and I'm staring at the second fireplace, the one that's not the built-in. I'm looking again at this cabinet, the standalone cabinet shelving again. That's is a standalone. And then over this cabinet, there's shelving in the wall, and I see a few horse figurines. And then I remember that 2 dogs came running into our apartment, and they were barking. And my kids were kind of like, distracted with the doggies or whatever. And then I'm looking, and I guess I had a glass door or something, that I see a woman coming, a black woman. She was not in my first dream, but I see her walking towards my apartment, and I had a knowing that these dogs were hers, and I had a knowing that she was from the black family that I met in my first dream. So then she comes in, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry about my dog. She goes, they're really friendly. And so I remember she grabs her both dogs, and we sit on the sofa, and she goes, look, you can pet them. They won't they're nice. She said they're friendly. So I start petting them. And then she says, then she just asks me, have you ever seen the movie Barry? And I knew in my dream the movie Barry was spelled Barry. I just had a knowing. And I said no, I've never seen that movie. And I've never heard about it either. She goes, and she says something about, there is a part in that movie that's about me or us or something like that. And I said, oh, okay. And I remember in my mind, I thought, that's really strange. Like that's like the first thing you tell me. Like, and I thought myself, my God, you're just kind of like being boastful here. Like, look at me, I came out of the movie, And so then the dream just ended. And at least that's all I remember about the dream. And then I woke up. And so as I realized, oh my gosh, the dream continued. And then as I'm kind of like going over the dream a little bit quickly, trying to write down everything before I forget it, I get to the point where I'm like, oh, she mentioned the movie Barry. And so again, I've never heard of that movie. I've never watched it. I've never seen it. I didn't even know if it even existed. That I grabbed my phone and I Googled movie Barry, and it came out that movie came out in 2016, and that movie is about Barack Obama, our ex-president, and my heart just dropped. And I'm like, Holy Spirit, I don't know what you're saying to me. I don't know what you're telling me, but I have a really strong feeling that this definitely dream you gave me, because the second dream revealed who that black family is in my dream, and that black family is the Obama black side of the family, Kenya. And so I don't want to share what I believe this dream is, but I'm going to say to you, seriously pray about it. And so that's about all I'm going to share. And until next time, God bless you. Have a great day. Bye.